Hey everybody, it's Jason. Sorry for the interruption to the podcast goodness. Just wanted to let you guys know, in case you already didn't, I'm kicking things off on my website, kicking it up a notch, if you will, and it's jasonsmurphy.com. I'm going to try to post stuff every Monday night to keep you up to date on all of the things I'm working on with my writing and what have you. But also, there's a mailing list, so if you want to sign up for that, I would appreciate it. I've got a short story coming out, and in the beginning of the new year, knock on wood, if everything goes as expected, a novel that you will be able to get your mitts on. I would appreciate it if you would check it out and comment on the posts, etc., etc. I'll see you there.
Oh my God, Jason.
What?
There's so many video games, man. There's so many fucking video games. I can't finish the video games.
I know, but here's the thing, Jeff. You don't fucking have to. Why do you put yourself through that?
I have to.
You're completely irrelevant.
It is a compulsion. It is my problem. I suffer from game finishitis. Haven't you seen the new commercials for if you suffer from game finishitis, feel free to take, I can't come up with a fake drug name. Anyway, that was real weak. Welcome everybody to the Rage Select podcast. It's on Rage Select. I am Jeff.
I am Jason.
Jason, what?
Yeah, next time you tell me you're too busy to do something, I'm going to kick you so hard in the balls.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Because you're playing, some fucking game to completion. You're like, well, I got to get all the achievements and unlock everything. It's like, no, you don't have to.
Actually,
it's like, I have to eat all of these sandwiches. And they're like, no, you don't. Just walk away.
I have to eat all the sandwiches. I have to eat all. If nobody eats these sandwiches, they're going to go bad. And that's heartbreaking. I love sandwiches, man. I got to eat. I got to eat them all. I got to eat all the fucking sandwiches.
What it is that if you don't eat all the sandwiches, someone will question your devotion and your commitment to
sandwich.
Devotion.
Oh,
and you can't have that. It's like, did you hear Jeff? Yeah, he didn't finish the pastrami. Dumb motherfucker.
He's a sandwich casual. He's a dirty sandwich casual.
God, this metaphor is terrible. This is the worst metaphor.
He probably likes peanut butter sandwiches, you fucking noob. Anyway, yeah. No, it's a problem mostly because Fallout 4 was rolling along, and I thought I was getting to the end of the story, and then I kept finding subquests that I wanted to finish first. Then Battlefront came out, and I was like, oh, I want to play a little Battlefront. So then I put Fallout 4 on the back burner. Tomb Raider is just gone. I forgot that even came out.
Shit, that's right. That was a thing.
Another 12-hour game. StarCraft.
I'd like to play that. I totally forgot about it.
The new StarCraft, the Protoss campaign, totally out.
Thing.
Yep.
That's right.
And then Bloodborne DLC came out this week, and I can't get past the first fucking boss. Son of a bitch.
I'm glad that I'm not the only one who sucks at something he loves.
Man, it's funny because I loaded that up. We got to this boss. There's literally going to be a Patreon video this week that's just Sarah and I trying to beat this one boss for 30 minutes, and I fail at it. Spoiler, I can't do it. So I felt bad about the size of my genitalia, the rank of my gamer score. So I went online and was like, I can't figure this out. And of course, everything online was like, oh yeah, this shit's like so fucking hard. It's the super hardest, and it's really hard. And you're probably 60 levels below where you should be to beat this, or just like you suck. You suck too hard to be able to get past this one thing. And I'm just like, fuck, man. Fuck.
Yeah, you need to. There's something I need to teach you, and I'm sorry if I haven't imparted this to you. I thought it was pretty clear through our friendship that you had picked this up. But you really let me spell it out to you in very plain language.
Okay.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
That's it, man. That's it. Everything is so much better once you learn that.
I know. It's just with Bloodborne, it's just DLC, though, man. It's just DLC. So, I know that there's only 2 or 3 hours worth of it, so I can actually finish it. And anyway, fuck that. And then the other problem that happened was Jessica Jones. All of Jessica Jones on the same day.
Did you just binge it? You watched all of it?
Actually, so last week, you and I were at Grant's Thanksgiving with all the lovely people and all the wonderful food and all the beer beer and bonfires and stuff.
One of my favorite days of the year.
Yep, and I left early because I was so tired after doing all the intro stuff and all that stuff last week. I was just really tired. I hadn't slept, and I was like, I'm going to go home, and I'm going to walk my dog, and I'm going to go to sleep at like 11. I'm going to get a lot of sleep. But I did. I don't know how can one man be so fucking stupid. I came home, and I told myself the same stupid lie I've been telling myself for 5 years. All right, so I'm going to walk my dog. I'm going to watch one episode of Jessica Jones, and then I'm going to go to bed.
I'm only going to suck one dick in the alley.
Yeah.
Was it that lie again?
Yeah. And then there's like 6 dicks later, and I'm just like, fuck, man.
Your dog's like, Jesus, this again.
But no, I managed to finish it. You said you're not quite done?
I got one more episode. I have one more episode of Jessica Jones. Well, of course, it's the last one. I didn't watch them out of order. I was about to say the final episode is the one I haven't watched. I have to clarify that. I didn't watch episode 3.
No, it's the first one. I'm watching it in reverse order because why not? Fuck it. I don't care.
Yeah, I know what happens. I read the comic.
What do you think about it? I mean, what are you thinking about?
It's good. It's very good. I like it a lot. It has a lot to say about PTSD and living through trauma and dealing with your shit. I think it's actually important. It has a lot of important things to say. It's not just and I hate to say just a comic book movie,
right?
But, there's a lot. There's stuff going on in a lot of the other Marvel comics where it has things to say about social issues and what have you. But this is very pronounced. I mean, and they have an agenda. Fortunately, it's one that I agree with, and it's one that I think everyone should agree with. But it's very empowering to women, and I don't know if you noticed. But there's a character in there. I won't spoil it for you comic aficionados who will recognize this guy.
Right.
But he chomps on red pills. And I just laughed and laughed and laughed. It's like, well, let's put him in a fedora too. How about that?
I see. That's weird because I had to look up who the hell that was. Like at a certain point, it became clear. This is actually some. I didn't recognize the name.
He says a line. He says a line at one point, and then it triggered, and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But it's it's very much the watered down TV version because the Frank Miller creation is fucking crazy. But yeah, this has a lot to say, and it has a lot to say about women, and it's very empowering and everything without being pandering. There are some logic problems that happen throughout the series.
It definitely drags from time to time, and there's some of the actual investigative parts where they're trying to put together we're trying to find this guy, and then we're going to go through all these steps. It's just you know what, you could have just shorthanded to the end of that.
It's like noir light.
Yeah.
And it's very not very. It gets repetitive sometimes.
Yes.
It does get repetitive where it's like they're just kind of jumping through the same hoops with different decorations.
Right.
And I think a lot of that is because the primary antagonist is the same throughout the whole thing, and there's really nothing else going on,
Yeah.
I think that they need to remix that, and then let's have some more let's have some more robust subplots.
Well, yeah, because I mean, in the Alias comic book, the first 9 to 12 issues are about subplot. The main plot of the show is the final arc of the comic series, where there's a bunch of other just I am an investigator, also an alcoholic mess, and there's one point where Jessica Jones is legal trouble, and Matt Murdock shows up to help her out, and So, and they kind of skipped over all that to make that one plot into kind of the meta story of the entire thing. I was talking with Grant a little bit about saying that it maybe should have been 9 episodes instead of 13. And I almost feel Daredevil suffered from the same fate a little bit, where it should have they just kind of padded it out a little bit more than it probably needed.
Don't be afraid to pack more in there. I mean, these are really rich universes. You got a lot to draw from.
Yeah.
but instead they focus on one arc, and the subplots are all very the subplots, I don't know, they're good, but they're not something that can drive an episode.
Yeah.
You know, you can't switch gears. Like, I'm watching The Shield right now for the first time. Not Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but The Shield with Michael Chiklis. And the good thing about The Shield is that they will bring threads back from series past and or from seasons past and just completely switch gears, and suddenly that's the focus. You know, or suddenly this subplot is the point. The subplot from episode 6 is now the point of episode 8. That kind of thing. But this, they don't have that with the Marvel series. It's like the main plot is dealing with the antagonist, and the subplots are all strictly in service of that.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and then the other thing about it that I feel like like, I don't know if this is a thing that, I mean, you know, I got over it real fast in the show because it's a show, but you know, you've read Alias the comic, right, Jason?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Like, Jessica Jones is fucked up. Like,
yeah,
like Kristen Ritter, like they show her drinking all the time, and they show her getting thrown out of a bar and being like what I would consider in Austin to be like moderately sloppy from time to time. But in the comic books, she is a wreck. Like,
yeah. Well, I think she's still a wreck, but yeah, the comic is she's like toxic.
yeah,
You know, she's really does not have her shit together.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't want to give any spoilers, but I was kind of disappointed with some of the choices they made about why she was messed up. But yeah, we can talk about that later. It's too soon.
yeah, too soon for spoilers. In any case, well, maybe we should go to the like final judgment here. I am not afraid to say that I enjoy Jessica Jones more than I enjoyed Daredevil. I thought that it had less fluff, and I thought that because of the whole personal aspect of the storyline, that it just had more like heart and oomph. And I also kind of feel like whoever made that show, they kind of just threw Iron Man 3 under the bus of like, oh, you've got PTSD from flying your Iron Man armor into another galaxy, and then at the end of the movie you're just like, well, I guess I don't have it anymore. I'm fine now. I'll make an Ultron, I suppose. Whereas this poor woman is just like, you know, 13 hours of just like, oh yeah, no, she's fucked up. But I don't know. What did you think in total compared to Daredevil? Where would you kind of rank it in the spectrum of Marvel?
It's tough. I kind of want to watch Daredevil again.
Yeah.
But I think I might like it more than I liked Daredevil. Yeah, I probably mostly because of Luke Cage.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. It's like whenever he said "Sweet Christmas," it was just like, oh, I just peed on the couch a little bit. Yeah, but I don't know. One of the things is that there really weren't a lot of like nods to Marvel Arcana, and I just eat that stuff up. You know, I really enjoyed it, but I couldn't help but think it's like, man, wish you guys had a badass kung fu expert on hand.
Yeah, I was going to ask if they
come in handy.
If they ever made any offhand references to Danny Rand the entire time. I didn't catch anything in there.
No,
but
I didn't catch anything. They did in Daredevil. You know, there were a couple of things in there, but I didn't catch anything in Jessica Jones really.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm sitting here looking at on my desk. 1, 2, 3, 6 Iron Fist action figures.
You know, someday, Jason, I'm going to have to read an Iron Fist comic because, like, I know that you are a man of taste and etiquette. I don't understand. I've never read Iron Fist, so I'm kind of in the dark about why you are so freaking into it. Like,
oh man, you know, okay, so I'll tell you, it all comes down to Ed Brubaker and Matt Fraction's run, which really redefined the character, and they turned him into this kind of like pulp action Doc Savage noir guy, but I really liked the way he was written with like his personality and everything.
Yeah.
And I actually liked where Bendis went with that when they put him in the Avengers afterwards. And so yeah, it's like this. if you read like the old like Doc Savage pulps, or like Alan Quatermain and stuff like that, that's what they turned Danny Rand into. He's just this billionaire kung fu expert, and he's like, oh, they discovered Captain Nemo's submarine. I'm gonna buy that, and we're gonna go adventuring.
Oh, okay, okay, I can see. So it's not necessarily tied to the old Iron Fisted Power Man and Iron Fist. Or Power Man? Is that what Luke Cage is?
Power Man and Iron Fist. Yeah. Well, he doesn't go by Power Man anymore, but I enjoy all of those. But characterization in the 70s and 80s was a little feeble, and they were, it's like a lot of the characters were kind of the same. Like, before the year 2000, tell me what Hal Jordan's personality was like.
Right.
Nothing. He didn't fucking have one.
Right.
And Danny Rand was kind of the same thing.
Okay.
Okay. He was just, kung fu guy, and he was serious, and he was Luke Cage's friend.
And then I like the way that there was like, this seems to keep happening in comic books where it's like every decade or two they'll be like, oh, hey guys, it turns out that if we actually give our characters some actual characterization, everybody likes them way more and buys more comics. And then and then 5 years later they just forget about it, and they're like, put the new kid on the block who's into drawing spikes all over everything in charge of that, and we're going to make Speedball into some BDSM guy for some stupid reason.
Did Warren Ellis do that? I can't remember if that was his idea or if he just wrote a couple of arcs in Thunderbolts where Robbie Baldwin was like that. Either way, when Speedball was Penance in Thunderbolts and Warren Ellis wrote it, that shit was great.
Well, no, see, I don't think so. The only actual exposure that I got to it was his origin and inception in what was the big Marvel crossover event where they created him?
It was Civil War.
Civil War. Okay.
Yeah. But essentially.
I'm a big old fat Warren Ellis fanboy. So if Warren Ellis wrote it, I'll read it. I like.
Have you not read those? I got to bring those over and let you borrow those.
Oh no.
Oh man. Okay, so it's fucking Norman Osborn leading the Thunderbolts.
Yeah. No, I know that. I know that part. Or no. Actually, I think I read Thunderbolts back when it first started.
Oh, when it was Zemo and all them?
Right, yeah.
It's Warren Ellis leading the Thunderbolts, and there's, Penance.
Warren Ellis
like that.
is in the comic.
Not Warren Ellis. I wish it was Warren Ellis, yeah. It's Norman Osborn, and he's giving them this speech at one point, and he's like, we have to stop them. And it's like... he is the greatest menace that, and like he's talking about like the fucking government or something like that. I don't remember. But he just starts saying Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Okay. Spider-Man. And everyone's like, wait, when did we start talking about Spider-Man? He's like, what are you talking about? Like, you kept saying Spider-Man. He's like, no, I didn't. They're like, oh, okay.
Well, I
it was great.
I don't think I ever saw that, but I do remember him in the, what was it, Secret Invasion, I guess he was in there as like the guy. He was like and then he gets elected president at the end or something like that. I'm like, fucking Norman Osborn. And I love the way over the years, and sorry, we're going to move on in just a second, but I love the way over the years, Jason, that comic book art has become better and better, that the poor comic book artists still have to draw Norman Osborn's hair. This weird, dumb thing that some guy in the 70s
what is that?
Like nobody in the world has ever had Norman Osborn hair. Anyway, so all right. Well, we're gonna move on to we've got a crap ton of video game news to get over, but we got one more comic book item of note. Jason, how many times have you watched the Civil War teaser trailer?
Oh,
just how many?
Shit,
like a billion or like?
It's several.
Mm-hmm.
And I also did the play pause. Pause.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you go. Is that I know. Okay. Pause. Just going through it like it's the fucking Zapruder film.
Yep. I just saw it. Just came up last night, and it seems. I mean, I don't know. I may be a little bit naive, or it might just be because we're so because Jessica Jones just came out. But I'm just like, guys, like it's how many months away? Like 6 months from now? It's like half a year until this shit comes out. Like, quit getting me excited now, man. I don't want to be excited for 6 months. Fuck you guys. But yeah, it's. I mean, I think that any of us that even I, who stopped reading comics really all that much before Civil War, have a fair idea of what that storyline is. I'd really be interested to know what somebody who's never read comics, because I mean, it looked very good. It looked like a pretty stock. It looked like what I would have expected, though, right? That you're starting to see this schism come up, and
yeah. Well, they have to kind of dismantle the team because all of these people's contracts are up for renegotiation. So it's like, okay, we made everybody love these guys, and now they have to go away.
Yeah.
Because we can't afford them anymore. Well, I don't know. I mean, everyone's is different, of course, but that's definitely something that you have to take into account and find an organic way to work it into the storytelling. So that's that's tough. I don't I do not envy them that. But it's different. It's weird to see how they've strayed from the comic, and I don't disagree with it. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that makes sense. It's like, it doesn't really violate anything. It's like a lot of the decisions they made in Jessica Jones. It's like, okay, well, this doesn't run counter to anything that was in the comics. It didn't happen like that in the comics, but it could have.
Yeah.
So I'm all right with that.
I still think, I mean, one of the biggest tragedies I feel like of the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe, the entire thing from top to bottom, is the fact that there are so many places in Marvel continuity where you have to tiptoe into weird areas and other locations and be very general about things because there are no mutants here. Like Civil War storyline, I think, makes a lot more sense when you're like, no, they're mutants. There's mutants with all kinds of crazy powers. They've been around for, like, the Civil War storyline, 50 years? They keep getting, more crazy, powerful people who just suddenly light on fire or control your brain or, turn into a monster or things like that. Whereas,
yeah. It's difficult. And then I've complained about this before, but stop trying to shove the goddamn Inhumans down our throat.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care. I don't care about the Inhumans. I know you need your quote-unquote mutants. It's like, well, we want to tell mutant stories, but we can't tell mutant stories because Fox owns the mutants. God, it's so annoying. So they're like, okay, well, we're just going to make them the mutants. Then we're going to make the Inhumans the persecuted people, which really the whole persecution of mutants didn't make a whole lot of sense anyway.
How so? In the Marvel universe?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Like, yeah, we're gonna persecute mutants, but the Fantastic Four are heroes.
Oh,
like, what the hell kind of sense does that make?
Yeah, I don't know. I always thought the X-Men had the potential for more interesting stories, just because all of the origin stories for the other Marvel characters are so grandiose, right? Captain America is the super soldier, and fucking Iron Man built this suit and whatever. And in X-Men, it's just like, oh, you turned 17 and suddenly you're a blue monster man, and it's like, well, shit, that's got to present some pretty serious fucking issues, right?
Woke up one day and my dick was a cobra.
That's right. That is the worst mutant power. Dick Cobra is my least favorite X-Man of all time.
Really, he's got his fans. I mean, he's no maggot, but he's got a little cult following.
Yeah. Do you think that they're going to try to then tie Inhumans Terrigen Mists into the whole why there are people, because it seems like that's one of the main problems, and they even have to do it at Jessica Jones, where they have to go out of their way constantly to be like, here is yet another secret organization manipulating people, because in the Marvel universe you could just be like, here's a person, they got powers, and people are like, oh, how'd they get their powers? Like, I don't know, mutant, cosmic rays, abducted by the Inhumans, fucking who cares?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, they kind of ran out of ways to give people powers, right?
Yeah.
It's like, there were only 7. And so they're like, I don't know.
The thing that I miss, that I like, still exists on The Flash, is the fact that in the DC universe, it seems like there's a large, because there are no mutants in the DC universe, right? It seems like there's a large number of people in the DC universe who get their powers by having an accident, right? Or even like Daredevil, right? He got hit by a car into a bunch of toxic waste, and he's like, now I've got powers. And it's like, yeah, that is not how that works. Toxic waste will just kill. I saw RoboCop. I know what happens with toxic waste. You just kill me. Or The Flash, like lightning hit chemicals in a lab, and now I can run real fast. It's like, well, what? All right, cool, whatever. Dr. Octopus has got, did lightning hit Dr. No, it was the laboratory explosion fused the arms.
Some sort of like he's dealing with radioactive shit and yeah.
Anyway, I miss the accident subplot because it just assumes it gives me hope, Jason, that anytime there's a horrible accident, that let's say, well, maybe somebody got superpowers out of that. Was there any toxic waste there? Maybe was there a gamma bomb or cosmic rays?
One day, a mixing board short-circuited, and a confluence of Lone Star and electricity gave Jeff the power.
That's that's
something I don't know.
It's the origin of Dick Cobra.
Yeah, turned his dick into a cobra.
How will I live like this? I'll have to go fight crime because no woman's going to let me put my cobra in her.
I bet you can find at least 10 in the whole world.
There is such a thing as Craigslist.
That might increase your chances. It's like, well, I wouldn't fuck him, but apparently his dick is a venomous cobra.
And I got to find out. I got to see. He said, yeah. Anyway, Captain America: Civil War, not starring Dick Cobra, unfortunately.
Maybe in the deleted scenes.
Right. In the bonus, in the extras. So I don't know. It looks pretty. I mean, it looks solid, but again, like, it's a bunch of Marvel. It's Captain America looking grim and people on the phone and terse, and there's Iron Man and just having a fight and great. I don't know. We'll have to see when it comes out. But in any case, we've rambled on long enough. It's time for the news.
What's in the news, Jeff?
Well, the first thing is a thing, and I'm gonna let you guess my emotional response to this news. All right.
Okay.
So recently in an interview with GameSpot, the creator of Dark Souls, Hidetaka Miyazaki, said, quote, "I don't think it'd be the right choice to continue indefinitely creating Souls and Bloodborne games. I'm considering Dark Souls 3 to be the big closure to the series. That's not just limited to me, but From Software and myself together want to aggressively make new things in the future. Dark Souls 3 will mark the last game where the development project began when I became president. Next title will be a game that was conceived while I was president. I believe that From Software has to create new things. There will be new types of games coming for us, and Dark Souls 3 is an important marker in the evolution of From Software," indicating that this is the last Dark Souls / Bloodborne game that From Software will make.
Did you get the sads?
No, I am incredibly happy because I've seen what happens when developers are forced to make game after game after game.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned, if we get 3 good Souls games and a Bloodborne and Demon Souls, and we've got 5 fucking 40-hour video games that came from this guy, I want him to go do something else. Because if he decides to go do for the first-person shooter genre what he's done for the medieval fantasy genre, fucking A, I want to see that. I don't want this guy to be chained to a desk making Souls games until forever.
Until all of his love is drained out of it and he just wants to escape. He's got like battered wife syndrome or something.
Right. I'd rather have Miyazaki. I mean, I don't know if he's ever been involved with one of the Armored Core games, but I'd rather make him reboot Kingsfield or make a Cyberpunk game or something, because I watched Kojima go down this road of just increasingly being like, yeah, all right, I'll make another one, I guess. Just keep putting money into it. So I'm actually really excited that this guy, who went from this developer to apparently the president of From Software is like, I'm going to stop making these now, and we're going to go make other cool shit that's not this, because I think that's a wonderful, wonderful idea.
Yeah. Stay fresh. Don't, it's kind of like The Simpsons, It's like, wow, this is still happening?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone involved with this, including the audience, is just tired and sad.
Or if you want to make a video game comparison, this year's fucking Assassin's Creed game, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, like 8th Assassin's Creed game to come out yearly in the franchise for, I mean, god damn, it's been so long. And it's like, is there anything wrong with Assassin's Creed Syndicate? Not really.
No, it was good. I liked it. I had fun with it. Except playing it, I was just like, okay, this is another Assassin's Creed. I need a break from Assassin's Creed probably for a good 2 years, at least.
Yeah, especially considering the fact that when you look at the projections, when you look at the release schedule for the Souls game, 2015 got Bloodborne, 2014 got Dark Souls 2, and 2012 got Dark Souls 1.
That's too much.
And next year we're getting Dark Souls 3, right? And I'm like, I'm really happy those games are coming out. I don't have to wait for like 5 years like Final Fantasy, right? Like, how fucking long has it been with Final Fantasy 15? Like, Final Fantasy 15 should goddamn be out by now. But if you just keep giving me the same game over and over again every year, eventually it's going to stop being. You got to give people. I said this about the Marvel stuff too, right? You got to give people time to calm down and like anticipate a thing, and then get excited about it, and then play it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I tweeted a few weeks ago when I was playing Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Mm-hmm. It's like, I can't miss you if you never go away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or even, I mean, for Assassin's Creed, I'd be happy enough if they just tried something that was different. But it's not dramatically different than a crapload of the other Assassin's Creed games. I just didn't. That one just didn't do. There's nothing wrong with it, but there's nothing right with it either. Like, it's just the same old thing.
Exactly. It's the same old thing delivered in such rapid succession right after the last one.
Yeah.
So it's just it's like, I bet it would have been a much bigger success and would have been more warmly received had it come, with a 3-year gap.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. And so I can't wait to play Dark Souls 3, and if it's got some DLC, I'll play all that as well, because fuck it, they make good stuff, and I heartily, and I'm so happy, get Miyazaki and his team and let them go do something that is not just doing this shit forever. All right, well, next up, Sony. So I don't know if you've read this story. Probably not, Jason. Do you ever read anything that has any video game news?
Oh yeah,
okay,
yeah. I check it. Somewhat regularly, not every day, but regularly.
Well, probably more than I do then. So I don't know if you saw this, but there was a Star Wars Battlefront PS4 bundle that came with a Darth Vader console and thing, and it also came with a voucher to download Star Wars Jedi Starfighter, Star Wars Racer Revenge, and Star Wars Bounty Hunter.
Really?
PS2 games running in emulation on the PS4.
Wow. Okay.
Now, I've looked, and as of the time of recording this, I keep looking, but you can't get those games off of the PlayStation Store. You could only get them right now if you pre-ordered the frickin' Darth Vader console. You can't just go buy them or download them or whatever. But what this has led to is some speculation about whether Sony is going to be incorporating full PS2 emulation into the PS4, and then what that's going to end up being. They've been really cagey. They haven't commented. They have this one official comment that they sent to the news organization that I'm looking at here that says, we are working on utilizing PS2 emulation technology to bring PS2 games forward to the current generation. We have nothing further to comment at this point in time. Now, I think this raises a whole crap load of questions like, am I going to be able to take PlayStation 2 discs, put them into my PS4, and play PS2 games? Or is it just going to be that they're going to
digital only?
Yeah, putting PS2 games on the PS4 storefront and that you could download and play. Because I think that if they just said, yeah, fuck it, and let you just, if you own a PS2 library, you could just put any PS2 games in your PS4. There were a lot of really good PS2 games that I would love to be able to throw into my PS4 and just fucking load up. There are a lot of things. I mean, hell, there isn't a way for me right now to play Persona 4 on my PlayStation 4.
Yeah. Well, there's some stuff like I'd like to go back and play some of the like Kane games, like Legacy of Kane and what have you.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like I don't even think I have a PS2 around here anymore. I think I gave it to Martin or something.
Do you think that they do you think that they will what do you think? Do you think I think that the chances are somewhat slim that they're actually going to be open enough to let you just put a PS2 disc in and play a game. I don't think that they'll do that.
I don't know how it works, so yeah, I couldn't say really. I mean, yeah, it's I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, how is Microsoft doing it with the Xbox?
Well, the Xbox 360 actually had close enough architecture that I think they're just emulating the 360. And I think that that's the thing about the PS2 is that the PS4, the way that the PS2, the way that the PlayStation 3's processor core was set up with that cell shit is really hard to brute force emulate, at least with whatever's in the PS4. But the PS2 is far enough back that it's like running a version of DOS in a window,
sure.
Right? It's like it's nothing.
Yeah.
You got enough processing power to be able to basically just software emulate the entire gaming system. So
yeah.
If they wanted to, they could probably do that. But I don't think they will. I think they're just going to make it so you can download, so you can buy and download some PlayStation 2 classics, buy them off the store, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah. Completely overpriced.
Yeah, $20 for, take your pick, God of War 1. Oh, no, there's already a, what, is there an HD version of that for the PS? No, there was the God of War 3, yeah. But what's interesting about that, I mean, let's say that they did go ahead and make PS2 emulation fully functional. That combined with the amount of things they've got on that whole PlayStation Now streaming service, it's a pretty fair amount of backwards compatibility for Sony. I mean,
do you use PlayStation Now?
No, I can't stand it.
Why not? What do you not like about it?
There's still enough of a lag. It's very small, but it's not exactly, and whether that's my internet connection or my service provider, I don't know, but there's enough of a lag so that it's not exactly one-to-one. Like I pay for it, so I look at it from time to time, and the other day I noticed that Resident Evil 6 was on there, so I pulled up Resident Evil 6, and it was like just a little tiny bit off, but it's like, when you're on a bad phone call.
Just enough. Yeah,
with somebody and you hear a little bit of an echo of your own voice, and you just can't do it, right? You just can't talk while that's going on. So I don't know. I mean, like if they can, I hope that they tighten that up over the next couple of years, because if they could really get it to a point where, for whatever, I mean, I don't know what magic sauce that they rub on their servers to make it faster, but
it might just be, it could be connectivity issues or the complete fuckery that is the U.S. internet infrastructure.
It's very much possible. If they could ever bring goddamn Google Fiber to my neighborhood, Google.
Shut up, asshole.
Yeah,
shut up.
What is it, like 2 blocks from you?
It's like every time I ask, they're like, oh, you're like right there. I'm like, yeah, I know. Fuck.
Oh man, when that happens, we're just gonna have to start streaming the Sunday stream from your house every week, right?
I know, right?
But yeah, I think this is exciting. I hope it works out. I hope that this. I mean, as I've said a million times before, I love the fact when there's an arms race between Sony and Microsoft to be like, well, we've got Xbox 360 backwards compatibility. Well, yeah, you'll be able to play any PS2 game you want on the PS4. Well, we're gonna give away our games at half price. Well, we're gonna give our games away for $10. Well, it's free games for everybody, and then it's just free games because they're trying to get you to buy an Xbox One. I don't think that's exactly how it's going to go down, but all right.
Well, I don't know. I think with all of this platform competition, we're the ones that win.
Yeah, I think so. All right, so Jason, I hope you like Star Wars because I've got about 4 different quick Star Wars stories to go over here.
I have heard of the Star Wars.
Okay, all right.
I've heard of them.
So, all right, let's start with basically bad news and good news for Star Wars Battlefront.
Okay. I didn't know there was going to be bad news.
Yep.
I didn't agree to that.
No, there's going to be some bad news and some good news. So apparently, GameStop indicated that sales of Battlefront have fallen short of expectations. There was a slight dip in EA stock. On the other hand, EA said that, without giving any numbers, that Battlefront is the biggest digital launch they've ever had. So I don't know if this is a question where people are buying it more digitally than they are going to GameStop and purchasing a fucking baby toy, I got to hold it in my hand CD to put into their consoles. But I don't know. They seem to feel real confident about it. On the other hand, I don't know. Like, hasn't been, as I talked about on last week's podcast, there's been some complaining, and I kind of don't like it that much, because I think that Battlefront is a really fun game, and it's been the first time where I haven't been able to sum it up. You know what? I haven't really talked to you about this. Like, are you angry as hell that there's $50 worth of DLC that is coming later on? Or
yeah, it's annoying. It's because you know that, like, I really think an EA is probably the most egregious transgressor of something like this, but I really think that a lot of this stuff is probably done and just sitting there, and they just paired it out of what admittedly is not a bare bones experience, but a more truncated experience than everyone anticipated when Battlefront was announced and advertised and so forth.
Now, are you still playing it?
Yeah, I am. Not a lot. I've just been busy, but I mean, I played it a little this afternoon. Little bits here and there. But last couple of days, I haven't really felt like compelled or anything.
So you don't think you're going to stick with it over time?
Probably not. No, I mean, if they might release some completely mind-blowing DLC, but yeah, I think maybe a bunch of maybe the bad press that it's received, and it has received some. Maybe that's hurt their sales.
I think it's possible. I really do. And it's kind of a shame, because I really liked it. You know what? I'm going to go back. We're going to go back to this old Jeff Chestnut, right? This thing that I say all the time. I wish to hell that Battlefront had come out in the middle of the summer, because I could have spent all summer coming back to Battlefront, as opposed to now. It's like,
right.
You're going to get yourself in between Fallout 4 and Bloodborne DLC, Battlefront? And 2 weeks away from Halo 5 and a week away from from Black Ops 3, that's when you're going to come out? Really? Like, if this had been in the middle of the drought, if it had been the beginning of next year, if this had been January, if this thing had come out New Year's Day, January 1st, when there was no new games coming out, I mean, I guess everybody's still playing their Christmas games at that point, but I just feel like there was probably a place where this might have had, and I don't know, maybe it is going to have legs. Maybe Randy and Brian Salisbury and people like you and I are going to play it in our spare time, and it'll be fine. But if this has come out in a time when there wasn't anything else going on, I don't know, maybe you could have kept more people involved with it instead of having to put it right up against
everything.
Yeah, not just multiplayer wise, but single player wise. And fuck, we're not even done. Rainbow Six and Just Cause 3 come out next week. Oh god. And then Xenoblade Chronicles comes out after that. Fuck. So
yeah, I don't care about those last ones at all.
Yeah. Just Cause 3? All the explosions?
Just Cause 3, that's cool. I'm curious.
Okay.
I'm slightly more curious at Rainbow Six. Xeno, whatever you said. Nah, whatever.
Well, I didn't expect for you to be interested in that. All right. Well, next up on the Battlefront / Star Wars news front, we got some details. I don't know if this had been out there before about the Battle of Jakku DLC.
Yeah, that's like any day now, right?
December 1st for pre-order people. You get that on December 1st if you put in a pre-order for it. December 8th for everybody else. It's going to have the big apparently it's the place where the trailer you saw the big Star Destroyer down on the ground. They're putting in a new big 40-player mode called Turning Point and this one tasks the rebels with this is another asymmetric mode like Walker Assault, where the rebels have to locate and capture one of 3 objectives, and if they're successful, then a new set of location becomes available, and they push forward on the map. So it seems kind of like a, if you get this one, then you push on the next one, push on the next one.
Yeah.
No,
sounds cool. There needs to be more there than there is right now.
Yep.
It's like the DLC does, as I was saying before, the DLC doesn't feel like a lanyap or anything. It feels like, okay, you left parts of the game out.
I'm sorry. What does the word lanyap mean?
Like a little something extra.
Oh, okay, okay. I've never heard that word before. But apparently, this turning this Jakku map sounds really cool because apparently, like, you're going to be playing it like when that Star Destroyer is falling out of the sky, above your head while shit like that is happening. So I don't know. We'll take a look when it comes out, and God only knows. There ain't shit else out in December outside of all those things that I just listed off and cried about. So yes,
well, it's catch up time. So yeah. If you can't get to it now, Jeff, just relax. It'll still be there.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, and when January comes around, that's when then I'll be like, why aren't there any? Yeah, now I'm. That's just the thing that bothers me, Jason. Is like, can't we just have a reasoned thing where we put out one big game each week from now, and then we spread it out through January instead of having to engage in the fucking orgy of Christmas holiday shopping and having to put everything out like 2 months before the end of the year. Anyway. All right, next up, speaking of Battlefront, one more time. So, Jason, have you seen that there is a modder out there by the name of Martin Bergman, who used to be a QA and localization tester at Activision, who is trying to has looking at this mod that he's creating for Star Wars Battlefront that makes this shit look like real life.
What?
Yeah, go online. Let me see if I can't find the best way to find this. Look for Martin Bergman Star Wars mod. See if that works.
I'm doing it right now.
Let me see if that works. Martin.
That's his modder name.
That's his name. Star Wars.
I was expecting like a DJ name. Like, don't modders go by DJ names? Like something like Modder Jazzy Q.
Oh, like an actual like internet screen name. Yeah. So I'm not exactly sure. Did you find it?
I'm looking at it right now, and I don't believe it. This is shenanigans. This is lies. It's fucking lies is what this is.
I think he's just adding some different lighting engines into it and then probably pre-rendering it at 4K before scaling it back down. So it's good that you can see this, because the thing is that this guy is working on it for the PC version of Star Wars Battlefront, but with the caveat that this will probably lower the frame rate below 30 frames per second if you use it.
Yeah.
So that becomes a question of like, how important is frame rate to you? Because I gotta tell you, I mean, the screenshots look fucking incredible.
Yeah, that looks like behind the scenes stuff of a movie.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is lost footage from stormtroopers on Tatooine.
Yes, and who could say the other thing that I noticed when I looked at these screenshots is they are all of Rocks, stormtroopers, and ATSTs. None of them are of the actual faces, the people faces of like the rebels.
Yeah.
So maybe that when you hit that, it's going to be like, oh, that looks like garbage. But
yeah, it's like, oh, let's see what Leia looks like with this fancy. Oh, Jesus!
I mean, they already Leia, Han, and it's good. It's good that most of the people that like a third of the heroes wear helmets and masks, because
yeah,
Han, Luke, and Leia, and the Emperor to some extent have like this weird face where you're just like, I don't know what that is, but it's not convincing me it's Harrison Ford. That's not really Harrison Ford.
It's the dark side, not even once.
But yeah, so I don't know. I think it's worth checking out. I'd be interested if somebody out there has one of those fucking fantastic computers that can actually run something like this. Maybe take some video, or I'd like to see this thing actually running. Because it's not, you could always just make a screenshot. And these look like legit screenshots, but I'd like to see it actually running at some kind of frame rate before I believe it. All right. Well, next up in Star Wars news, hey, you remember Dark Forces, Jason?
Yeah, of course I do.
Okay, so you know what Legos are, obviously.
Right.
There's a Legos Idea website where basically they give people that build certain things the ability to kind of put sets up, and then people can vote on them. And if enough people like them, then they'll actually mass produce them. And right now they've got a Dark Forces set that is the Moldy Crow, and then minifigs for Kyle Katarn and Jan Ors with a little lightsaber and blaster guns and stuff like that. It's got 200 votes, and it's got 350 days to get 10,000. So, hey, folks, if you want some Moldy Crow, Kyle Katarn, and Dark Forces Legos, go to Lego's website. It costs you nothing, and just put in a thing and say, give me some Dark Forces Legos.
Yeah,
So,
that's kind of neat, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. Fine.
Yep.
It's like I don't care because Legos are fucking expensive.
This is true.
You know.
Maybe instead of a Dark Forces Lego set, we get a new Dark Forces video game. Come on.
Yeah. Give it.
Yep. And last but not least, in the Star Wars news hit parade, I thought I'd bring this up just to get your take on it. George Lucas is a whiny bitch. I just watched this interview with him.
He said some things. He had some angry things to say, right?
He was just whiny. Like, he was just like, he basically made a great case for why he shouldn't be involved with Star Wars anymore.
Really? What did he say?
Well, he was like, well, it's always been they kept telling me these stories about space and stuff, and it's always been a family story about a family. It's a family story. It's a soap opera that just happens to take place in space. So all that other space stuff, that's not really the focus of Star Wars. It's more about a family and it's sons and daughters and stuff like this. And then he also said something where he was like, they didn't want to listen to my ideas, so I just was like, fuck it, I'm going to leave. And he's like, and he actually said, he compared him leaving the Star Wars franchise to like, when you break up with somebody, you got to like, not call them and not text them and not get in touch with them in any way. You got to just like let them go their own way and then not get involved at all. So that's what I'm doing. I'm not getting involved at all with the new Star Wars movies. And I'm like, good. Thank you, George. That's
yeah. Well, this is the same guy who a couple of years ago, when people were asking like if the what the expanded universe, if that counted, and he was like, "Oh no, what you need to understand actually is that it's kind of like the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. It's like the Father is the most important, and that's what I say, and then the Son is the movies, and then the everything else is the Holy Ghost, and so it's like you have to take things in order of importance. It's like, I'm sorry, did you just compare yourself to God?
You are crazy, man, Lucas. So, yeah. All right. Well, as usual, we're way over time. We've still got a ton of, not a ton, but we've got about 6 stories left. So we're just going to whip through them real fast. Did you see that they're putting out some Dong of Justice, Batmobile, and Bat Affleck skin for Arkham Knight?
I did not. Don't care. I've already moved on past that. So
I was actually bringing this up.
Like, well, who cares? It's like, who cares about the skins? I've already played the game.
Yep.
I'm not going to go back and play it again because the skins are different.
But Jason, racetracks. There's a new racetrack. You remember your least fucking favorite part of the entirety of that game? Racing? Yeah.
Yeah. More of that.
More.
Whee!
Yeah. So couldn't care less. Fuck off. As far as I'm concerned, again, last week I talked about this. I'm not going to go all the way back into it, Jason, but I am going to stand up right now and be like, the DLC for Arkham Knight is horse shit from top to bottom.
I saw an article about that. I didn't get any of the DLC, so I want to hear it from you. Tell me about it.
Oh, no. I mean, okay, here's the thing is I want to say that I can't say it entirely, but it seems like every couple weeks they're like, look, 1989 Batman skin. I'm like, I don't care. Christopher Nolan, the Batmobile and Batman skin. I'm like, I don't fucking care. As near as I can tell, the only story at DLC that they've had has been the Batgirl one that you and I finished in 2 dojos, right?
Yeah.
A Nightwing one and a Catwoman one. And I don't know if any of those are longer than, and wait, was there maybe a Robin one as well? I don't know. Maybe I could go back and look at it. Maybe it was worth it, but just none of it seems like enough. It's like, that Batgirl one was okay, but it just was so short. I almost feel like they should just like wait. You should have waited and just put it all out at the same time, because I don't know. I can't really bring myself to care.
No, I saw an article that said that exact same thing right before we started recording.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. That it said the Arkham Knight DLC was not worth playing.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe somebody who is a big fan. I mean, I thought that Arkham Knight was good, not the best, but good. Did some great things. But I haven't seen anything in that DLC that would convince me to even put that. Or I think did I download it or get the disc? I don't know, to even play it again. Like, there's no reason that I can see to reinstall Arkham Knight on my PlayStation 4 so far. And maybe that's the greatest. Like,
I think I already sold my copy.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think it's gone. I'm almost positive I traded it in.
Uh-huh. Well,
for like Battlefront or something.
Wouldn't be that would not surprise me. Speaking of DLC, here's this crazy thing that I just wanted to run by and kind of get people's idea about what they thought about it. So you remember the game Dying Light that came out early last year or this year?
You refresh my memory. I remember the title.
Parkour zombies in the nighttime. Zombies get more aggressive.
Yes.
Okay, so there's a DLC for there was some DLC, but they're making this big kind of like driving around in the countryside DLC that's bigger, that's like way big, called The Following. And I haven't really been keeping track of it, but the story came across this week that apparently they have... Okay, so the season pass of Dying Light right now, as of even when this podcast comes out, is $19.99. And that'll be the 29th of November when this comes up. About a week and a couple of days after that, on December 8th, Techland has said that the following expansion for Dying Light has become so large and involved that they could release it as a standard game, but they're not going to. But what they are going to do is that as of December 8th, they're raising the price of the season pass from $20 to $30.
Huh, okay.
If you've already bought it, you're unaffected. If you buy it before then, you're unaffected. They're giving you a fairly fair warning. I'm kind of interested to know just what people, you, Jason, and then the listeners as well, think about the idea of, like, raising the price of a season pass because the company has put so much time and work into a thing.
I think that's totally fair, as long as they're not saying, all you people who bought it, you owe us $10 more. No, that's cool. It incentivizes early adopters. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great.
Okay. I don't know. I think it's a little weird, just the fact that they're giving you... I mean, I think the problem that I'm having with it is that they're raising the price before anybody has the product to know whether it's worth the amount of money they're asking you to spend on it. Because I found Dying Light as the game went on to be increasingly more just kind of like, this is business as usual, right? So if The Following is a fucking fantastic thing that could be released as its own game, it is great. That's fine. But what you're asking me to do is invest. They're giving you this weird incentive to invest now before you actually know anything about it, before it's
right.
in somebody's hands, so that you don't spend an extra $10 later.
That's how season passes work. I rarely buy them. I mean, you know how excited I was for Battlefront.
Right.
I didn't buy a season pass for that. I'm just going to wait and see.
Yeah.
It's like Arkham Knight. Really liked it. Didn't buy a season pass. Thank God.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't do that because, I mean, and not because all DLCs are bad or anything like that. Just because, a lot of times by the time DLC comes out, I'm just kind of done with the game.
Yeah, it's got to be really good. Like, I know that when I played like Fallout 3, I'll still crow about being some of the best DLC that was out there, because Fallout 3, when the DLC for Fallout 3 would come out, I would be sitting there waiting for it to come out and like buy it, download it, and install it and do that stuff. But yeah, outside of Bethesda DLC, I think that like the BioShock Infinite stuff, that Burial at Sea two-parter, that was pretty good. But yeah, it's got to be something that adds something different into the game, and not just like, hey, it's more, take your pick, it's more Batman, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. I'm interested to know, though, people in the comments, if anybody has a second thing to think, whether you think that raising the price of announcing that you're going to raise the price of DLC in a bid to get people to buy it before the price goes up seems like it could be taken as a little shady to me, mostly because, like I said, we don't know anything about the DLC. Speaking of Bethesda and Fallout, quick PSA for everybody. Fallout came out last week and basically said, if you've got the PC version of Fallout 4 and you're using console commands, there's a good chance you could break your save files to the point where they're fucked up and broken and your progress is lost. Yeah. So apparently they were saying that they've actually had people who have written into their support to be like, hey, my game is fucked up. And they're like, yeah, you use the console commands, you fucked up your whole game. And it kind of, to me, just brought up this question of, should we expect with Fallout, Fallout 4 has been a big question of expectation in my book. Should we be expecting developers to keep us safe from console commands? Is that something where we should feel like you can use a console command at will and not end up actually corrupting the save file that it's attached to?
I don't know. That's a good question. It's,
I mean, they're dev tools, right? So,
yeah. That's they're right. It's like that's not part of like
this
the gaming package.
Yeah, it's not a GTA cheat code where you're turning on exploding cars. It's actually pulling down the developer console and typing stuff into it.
Yeah.
So.
Then sorry, you lost your save game. Fuck you. Whatever.
Yeah. I say buyer beware on that stuff. So. And we're just going to skip past that. Do you know what Fig is, Jason? Have you heard about this?
I do not.
Let me see if I can refresh your memory. Fig was the crowdfunding thing that was created by Brian Fargo of In Exile, Tim Schafer, and Obsidian's Fergus Urquhart to basically crowdfund stuff, but only... but the twist on it is that you're actually an honest-to-God investor, so that if there's like stock, you get money back out of it, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So apparently they've had two campaigns so far. One succeeded, one failed. But they had a recent SEC ruling. Let me just see if I can't. There's a recent change approved by the SEC. You can now invest, individuals can now invest in this, not just quotey fingers, like certified investors, right?
Yeah.
The only problem being that you can only, like, the minimum is like a grant. Your low buy-in for these projects is like a grant because they're not fucking around with your fucking $5 and I want the game bullshit. So I find this really interesting. I think I put this out there before. I don't think I ever got a response. Is anybody from Rage Select? Have you guys ever done this? Would you be interested in doing this? You want to be some kind of big fancy game investor man? I think it's really interesting, but it still is. I don't know. It's nice that they've got these big guys to kind of look over people's shoulders to make sure that they're not, a diaper full of what was that one? Like a diaper full of champagne. Kickstarter.
What?
Or
I haven't heard of that one. Or potato salad or
potato salad, yeah, that this is an actual thing that's happening.
So it's curated and they take it seriously.
Yes.
That's interesting. I'd be interesting to see how this plays out. I mean, I think it's become clear at this point that that Kickstarter needs some regulation.
Or maybe
I know too many people, and this might be that not really a way to regulate Facebook, but to say, but if you give to this, then you are going to have a much different experience. I don't want to say like tangible rewards because you might lose. But yeah, you're an investor, and a lot of people, don't understand that. They'll invest in a movie, or they'll give to a movie and think that they're investing, and they're like, "Oh, your movie came out. All right, where's my share of the profits?" It's like, no, that's not what it was. It's never what it was. But there are a lot of people who have never received like their rewards.
Yeah.
I think it was it John? It might have been John, Rage Select's own John, who said that. Of like the 7 or 8 things that he had backed, he'd only received like 3 rewards.
Yeah.
After years.
In all honesty, like I think that one of the things that Kickstarter could do that would be better that would be better for them and better for everybody. And I think it would be better for everybody in the crowdfunding business if people got over this is like limit the number of fucking things that you're sending out, because I've read so many stories about like, oh yeah, like 20% went to Kickstarter and the next 25% went to printing T-shirts and sending out lithographs and having a party for the big investors that came out and blah, 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 blah. When honestly, that's all waste. That's all waste. It should just be like, you know what? We're doing a Kickstarter, and guess what? The reward is you get the video game. And if you put in a lot of money, if you put in like the top tier, you can come out into the launch party with us, and that's it. Because we're not going to sit down and put 1 million T-shirts in 1 million bags for $1 million $5 donations. But then I'm very naive. You probably would never actually get your Kickstarter funded if you didn't do that shit.
Right.
It just seems like such a waste of time when what these people want to do is make video games, not send you a fucking T-shirt, right? Or a box or a picture signed by the dev team or a jar of spit from the developers or whatever the shit it is. All right, 2 quick more stories, then we're going to take a break. First of all, you remember that game, This War of Mine, that came out, I think it was this year, right?
Sounds familiar.
There's this very kind of emo trailer that was about how it's a story about people trapped inside of a war zone who are non-combatants.
Okay.
Where you have to go out and kind of scavenge for food. You probably remember the trailer if you saw it. It's a very interesting game where you had to choose to go out and try to get food, and then you go to a house, there'd be people in there, right? You decide whether you want to try to club them to death and take their food because you're starving, or leave and maybe starve to death because you're starving, or really kind of just the worst, most terrible way to spend a Saturday afternoon where you're just like, I won! Hooray!
Yeah.
They're making a board game adaptation, so you can now sit around the kitchen table with the whole family playing a wretched story of human misery.
Did this game come out?
Yes, it's been out on Steam.
Okay. Got
an expansion. Got I think they did a humble bundle where they donated all their stuff to donated a bunch of stuff to charity. So yeah, it's been out for a little while now. But yeah, they're putting out a board game, which I don't know about you, Jason, but I don't like board games.
I've gotten to the point where I just have to admit that I don't either.
I mean,
I get okay. So a couple of years ago, I might have told you this story. Allison and I bought, I think it's called Arkham Horror, and it's one of those really elaborate, really expensive board games. It's like $80, and about 3 hours into reading the instructions, and I'm not even exaggerating, I said, "All right, fuck it. I don't know.
Yep.
Nope. You can keep reading if you want, and then tell me how to play, but I'm done. I'm not sitting here to decipher this." And this even happened recently. What were we playing? Discworld. It's a simple game based on Terry Pratchett's series of novels. And about 15, 20 minutes into reading the instructions and stuff, I was just losing my goddamn patience here.
Yep.
It's I like being able to turn it on, press start, let's go.
Yep.
And I know some people are board game purists and all that, but that's it's like when I'm playing D&D. I will. I usually end up if I'm with Randy or Cargill or whoever, I'm usually just, all right, yeah, this is what I want to do. Okay, just tell me what I need to roll. Here's my page with these numbers on it. I don't have time for this shit. Just tell me where I need to go.
But Jason, how the hell are you going to min-max if you don't understand what all the numbers on the paper mean? How are you going to make...
I don't care. I just want to have fun. I don't need to min-max, weirdo.
Yeah. No, I do. You got to do power attack and cleave at the same time. No, yeah, so I don't know. If all you board game folks out there, I bet this War of Mine would probably make a pretty decent board game. And last but certainly not least, you remember when you told me, Jason, about that action figure based on Jason Voorhees from the Friday the 13th NES game?
Yeah.
They shipped this week in a beautiful package. Yes.
Wait, back it up. Say that again.
They shipped.
Yeah. What do you mean they shipped? Who's shipped?
The figures. Did they not? This is from November 24th. So
wait, the video the
video game Jason figure.
I've had that for like 2 fucking years now.
Is it giant? Is this
a giant one?
This is a giant one. From Nika, and it's actually really cool because it comes in a box that the giant box looks like the old NES box of the game.
Yeah, I have that, but it's not a giant one.
Oh,
it's,
okay.
It's like a 6-inch or something like that. I've had it for years. I didn't know they had a giant one.
Does it play the game music when you open the box?
No.
Apparently, when you open the box, it plays the theme, and then like on one side, there's like a hinging cover, right? There's a cover on the front. When you open it up, on the left hand side, it's got the game over screen where it says "You and your friends are dead, game over." On the right side, it's got Jason, and then behind him, it's actually like what the inside of the cabins look like, and it's got like the UI at the top and everything. Oh, so this is the exact same thing that you had, right?
Except it doesn't play the music, and apparently it's not huge.
Oh, okay. Well, this is 7 inches, so apparently it's the same thing that you've got. So I don't know why this came through my news feed as
it's
like
7. I've had that for years.
Okay. Well, then there you go. Wait,
There's also a Freddy one for Nightmare on Elm Street.
Wait.
And
did you get this at Comic-Con? Did you get it from somebody who was at Comic-Con?
Yes.
Okay. This was the ones that were shipping for people who it used to be that you could only get that Comic-Con one, and this were the actual shipping ones. So you actually probably have the exact same thing that I'm talking about here. You had Jason way before it was cool.
Okay, I was like, why are you telling me this? I've had this for like 2 fucking years. I didn't understand. But no, there's also a Leatherface one from Atari. From the Atari Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Good Lord.
And a Freddy one from the 8-bit Nightmare on Elm Street.
Now, I was looking to see if you could buy this. I went to NECA's website. I couldn't find shit on there, man. Like, it seemed like it was really difficult to find anything. Yeah. How much did that thing set you back when you got it?
I don't know. A friend just gave it to me.
Ah, you son of a bitch. Oh, wait, there it is. Classic Jason action figure. How much is this motherfucker? No.
You can. Well, it depends on the SDCC one that comes like in the open up box and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. It's on Amazon for $100.
Oh wow. Okay.
And then there's one that's just like in a little plastic package. That's different. Well, yeah, this is different looking. This is a different one, but it's like $45. It's made differently. It's a different thing, but it's also Nika. So I don't know. I don't know.
Well, that was a horrible story. I should not have read that. And with that wonderful of a story, let's go ahead and take a break. We'll be back shortly, and we're going to answer y'all's questions that you just sent in a whole shitload of. So stay tuned, and we'll be back in a moment. All right, and we are back. And it's time for the questions. Mail at rageselect.com is the email address to send the questions to. And because I put out a call, we've got a crap load of them now.
Speaking of mail, Jeff,
yes.
I have a very important announcement.
Okay, what do you want to say?
Within the next couple of weeks, I will be releasing a short story for free.
Okay.
Called Blood In. Mm-hmm. Craig Thompson, who some of the listeners know from back in the Spill days, did a lot of art for the gang. He did the cover, and it's great. Blew me away. I'm going to be releasing that, and I have a website up now, jasonsmurphy.com, all one word. You can sign up for a mailing list on there, and I think I'm going to do this. If you have signed up for the mailing list, if you're interested in the story, I think I'm going to send those people the link to the story first.
Ooh.
Exclusive scoop.
Okay.
So go check it out. Sign up. I try to blog on there every Monday. Try to keep everybody appraised of all of the various stuff that I'm doing. And just bullshit. Just bullshit stuff like, I'm playing this, I'm writing this, here's where you can download this. But again, the short story, free. Check it out. It will be available soon, within the next 2 weeks. So sign up on my mailing list so you don't miss out.
Okay, you heard it here first, folks. Yep, sign up for the website. Jason Murphy is on the internet now.
I am.
This is a crazy thing.
It's a big step.
Yeah,
it's a big step.
Yeah,
for me.
I've been telling you for years. You should try this internet thing out. Seems like it's an all right place. There's a lot of cats, So our first question this week comes in from Rich G, who says, Dear Jeff and Jason, I'll preface this by saying Skyrim is my favorite game ever. That being said, it seems like RPGs nowadays are way more streamlined than they used to be. I've been playing Baldur's Gate 2 for much of the year, then started Fallout 4 when it came out, and it got me thinking, everything seems so much more basic. Excuse me. The numbers don't mean as much, and perks are replacing base stats more and more every year with every new game. However, while I think Baldur's Gate 2 is a better game than Fallout 4, I still enjoy Fallout more. I feel the same about the difference between Morrowind, a better game, and Skyrim, which is more fun. It's like liking a Taylor Swift song for its catchiness over a masterpiece of writing like Metallica's Master of Puppets. Sorry.
I like this guy.
I'm wondering, what's more important to you, the quality and well-roundedness of a game versus the shallow base enjoyment of a game? Thanks for taking my question. Something, Dong Lord something. Love you guys. Rich G from Jersey. And then he says, Jeff, if you want some booty, you got to stop talking about how you don't get any. They don't like that. I'm not the one.
It's true.
I don't walk up to women in the bar and go, hi, my name is Jeff, and I can't close. How's it going? That's not... I just don't walk up to them. Anyway, all right. So Rich's question, I'm pretty sure I know what this answer is from you, Jason. You want to break it down?
I'm going to be honest and say you can come at this from a couple of different angles. What I just want to have fun. I actually I've got Baldur's Gate on my iPad and on my phone. Although it's really, even though I have like one of the giant iPhone 6 Pluses.
It's a little too small.
It's too small.
Yeah.
It's too small. But I've got it on my iPad, and I don't know. I like all of those with the numbers and the stats and everything. It can honestly be a bit intimidating to get into it first, and I kind of lose my temper. It's because it's like we were talking about in the first section. Or the first segment, it's it's a lot of reading, a lot of mathing and shit, and it's like I just want to play. But when it comes down to it, I want a well-balanced game that I enjoy, no matter how it gets there. I can really appreciate getting into the minutia, but I think it's a phase. That's what we're doing now. I think maybe we'll come back around to that or something altogether different as a way to feed the RPGs to your faces.
I don't know. I feel like it's starting to get. I think that for every, I think that. Personally, I like games that I think for me, the way that I look at it is that games like, and I'm just bringing it back around to Dark Souls, games that have a higher bar to entry and are harder to understand initially, a lot of times will reward you more for understanding their systems. So, like, the reason I continue to play the Souls series is because they've got a lot of flexibility and a lot of depth in that system. Like, I would compare, we had our big, the last Ragecast, I think we did the debates about Dark Souls and Skyrim. Like, Skyrim is way easier to understand how to, like, it's hard to fuck your character in Skyrim up. It's real hard to get to a point where you've just straight up broken your guy.
Dark Souls, on the other hand,
it's not super easy to do, but there's a certain point with like a lot of RPGs where you kind of need to understand what those numbers do, and then pick some numbers that you want to make higher than other numbers, and then play the game in that fashion. So I enjoy both quite a bit. I find that the ones that have more depth are the ones that I go back to more often because there's more flexibility, there's more reward for the investment that you have in it. Whereas, like, Shadows of Mordor was a great game. I played it once. I've never really...
Yeah.
I mean, it was a really good game, but I just don't really have any real interest in going back and playing it a second time.
Right. Agreed. Yeah.
But, whereas fucking Bloodborne, I created 2 new characters for the DLC, and even then when I went into the DLC for the fucking show, I was just terrible at it. I don't like playing that game live on the air, Jason, where I have to talk. Like, it's an actual game I've got to concentrate on. I hate doing that. But definitely I feel like that things have become more streamlined because there's a certain number of people who just straight up won't put up with that shit, right? Like, no matter how...
it's a different game. Everybody has their own preferences. Like a lot of times I don't have time to dive into an RPG, but I can, pick up Battlefront, for instance, and, play a fighter squadron match for, 15 minutes, that kind of thing. Because a lot of the RPGs require investments, and that's not a bad thing. It's just not a good fit for everyone.
I think, I think what a lot of it comes down to, especially for me, is the fact that I don't have the luxury of being like, because Joe and I just got done recording this game called Mordheim, Shadows of something. That's just, Mordheim is a Warhammer, not a Warhammer, but it's a Games Workshop universe apparently. And this is a tactical RPG with just a shitload of numbers and resources and mechanics and things. And it's like, that's great, but as previously mentioned, I've already got a shitload of numbers and mechanics and things that I'm dealing with in a bunch of other games. And so it's a lot easier to make me stray away to play 3 rounds of Battlefront where I'm just like, pew, pew, yeah, than it is to be like, all right, well, let me get out a pen and paper and start learning about what this
like
number
you said,
means.
That can be very rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it requires work.
I feel like I've got a certain number of games like that in me every year. I've got a certain number of complicated games. And I think that might have been one of the problems that I had with Dragon Age Inquisition last year, was that came out so late in the year that I was just like, oh, God, really? All right, fuck it. All right, fine.
I played the shit out of Dragon Age Inquisition.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Did you ever go back? Did you play any of the DLC?
No. Like I was saying, I never do DLC.
Yeah.
It's not because it's bad. I've moved on. It's like, okay, I'm good. I don't need any more of that right now.
Did you ever go back and play like you probably played Inquisition like once, right? You didn't go back and try like a different skill build, right? Or a different class or anything like that?
No. I rarely do that either. It's like, usually if I make a character after like, the first couple of hours of gameplay, that's it. This is what I got. I'm not going back.
They may be broken as fuck, but I don't care.
Yeah, I will make it work.
Oh man, what just out of curiosity, I feel like we touch on this a lot of times with you and about how you don't ever go back. And we probably answered this at least once or twice before, but do you ever go back to? Is there any game that you have that you keep going back to? I mean, I know that I'll pop in one of the Souls games or like a Metal Gear game or something like that from time to time and go back and throw a few hours into it. Is there anything that you find yourself kind of gravitating back to pick back up again and play?
I have desire to like go back and play some of my favorites, like Red Dead. I've actually for a while been wanting to play Skyrim, but I can't find my copy, and I don't want to buy another one because I know it's around here somewhere. But I also am like, I don't have time. But I have been playing like Tony and I, as I've said before, we've been playing Left 4 Dead.
Oh yeah.
And we played all the way through Left 4 Dead, and I was like, oh, Left 4 Dead 2 is not that different, blah, blah, blah. And then we put in Left 4 Dead 2, and I was reminded very quickly, oh, no, this is very different. There are so many more options in Left 4 Dead 2. So, yeah, we had just been talking about it, and it's like, let's just do it all co-op. No man left behind. So that's what we've been doing, and just kind of had a fun time, not too challenging, making our way through Left 4 Dead 1, and then we get to Left 4 Dead 2, and it's like, well, shit, you're in the big boy cell block now. I'd like to introduce you to Squeaky. They call him that because he doesn't use lube.
It's too bad
that's from a Punisher comic, by the way. I can't take credit for
that. It's too bad that you guys don't have that you're not rocking PC Master Race. There was a game that came out. Have you ever heard of Vermintide?
Sounds familiar.
It's like the Warhammer. Like facing the giant rat plague, but it's kind of like Left 4 Dead, except that it's medieval. So you got 4 like medieval Warhammer people, like in an arena-based thing where you got all these rats and monsters and shit running at you. It's got.
I'm looking at the screenshots of it now, and it looks pretty cool. The character in here looks like motherfucking Solomon Kane.
Yep.
So I like that.
Yep. It's got 5,400 positive reviews on Steam. So it's probably doing something right.
It looks cool.
Yeah.
I dig it. Yeah, I'm looking at the screenshots right now.
Holy shit. Wait, what was that? Okay, we're going off a tangent here. What was that game? You remember? E3. Like, was it the E3 that you and I went to that was like a Monster Hunter Like you spawn in a coffin.
God, what was it? Katamari Damacy.
Yes, that was it. Now, do you remember what I'm talking about? It was like you had like 4 people, but it was like kind of eldritch horror, like kind of Alone in the Darky kind of stuff.
Rings a bell.
Like in the bayou or like a swamp or something.
It never came out, did it?
I don't think so. I would know. I mean, if it had come out, I probably would have played it.
We'd have to like go back and listen to our week's worth of podcasts to see if we could find it.
Go back and listen to my own podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. If anybody remembers what that game is, type it in the comments. Let me know. I like this weird. I don't know if I'm just making shit up, but I'm pretty sure I remember that thing. All right, our next one comes in from Ohio Dino, who says, "Hello, Rage Select. I have a couple questions for you. First, has there ever been a glitch, unlockable exploit, or random event that decreased your enjoyment of a video game? The biggest one for me happened in the remake of Turok. I bought the game to shoot dinosaurs, and they take a lot of bullets to kill. But like all regular enemies in the game, they can be killed instantly with a knife. This results in every dinosaur encounter in the game ending really fast with a single button press, and I spent most of my time fighting faceless enemy soldiers who shoot you before you can get close enough due to the game's crappy stealth system. Alternately, has there ever been one of these in which you found the game boring or unplayable until you discovered the glitch or exploit? Give your dog a nice pet on the head for me, from Ohio Dino."
Ohio Dino. That's a good question. I'm trying to think of something that like ruined a game or made it amazing.
From a specific glitch, I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I usually just ignore those rather than taking advantage of them. I can't really think of anything. Can you?
It's hard to say. Oh, I could actually say that on the other hand, where he says, alternatively, has there ever been one of these in which you found the game boring or unplayable until you discovered it? Yes. I still cannot beat the bosses in Master Blaster without using... Okay, so for you children...
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's like 4 of you out there, because actually it turns out that most of Rage Select is probably a little bit older than your standard internet age. Back in the old days, you had the NES Advantage, and the NES Advantage had a button on it, and that button said slow motion. And when you press that button, the game went into slow motion, except it wasn't actually really slow motion. What it was
just pause.
Yeah, it would pause and unpause the game a whole shitload of times. Just pause and pause, pause and pause, pause and pause, pause and pause. Well, it turns out in Master Blaster, there was a bug where if you throw a grenade and then you pause the game and then you unpause the game, when you unpause the game, that grenade hits a second time. So if you throw a grenade at a boss in Master Blaster, then you hit the slow-mo button, it just hits them like a shitload of times, and their health just goes boop, and then they're dead. Yep. And I have never managed to beat Master Blaster without using that glitch and or exploit.
That's a good one. Okay, so this one isn't a glitch or exploit, really. I think it's a legitimate way of playing. Mm-hmm. But whenever some motherfucker thinks they're being cute and playing as Oddjob on GoldenEye, mm-hmm. that'll just ruin the whole damn thing. Cargill.
Why? Well, I never played GoldenEye, so
that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're playing multiplayer, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody's like different height. All of the characters. Mm-hmm. Everyone's like average height except for Jaws.
Okay.
Right, Jaws is really tall, so he's this huge target. And then there's Oddjob, who they have made this like dwarf. Mm-hmm. And he's like half the height of everyone else, and he's much more difficult to hit. And so in college, we had to initiate a rule. It's like, no, nobody's Oddjob. Can't be Oddjob. At Cargill's birthday weekend, a couple of months ago, we had an N64 and was like, oh man, let's play some GoldenEye. And Cargill's like, it's my birthday, I get to be Oddjob. It's like, no, fuck you, no. So we didn't end up playing.
Oh, that actually stopped you guys from playing the game?
Well, honestly, what we ended up actually spending the most time on, as far as video games go, is Star Wars on the NES.
Oh,
it's so shitty. It's so shitty.
Oh, I remember that. That was shitty. That was shitty.
Yeah, and it's so difficult.
I can also say that even though I got to the point eventually that I was able to play Contra without using the 30 lives code, I probably never would have gotten to the point of being able to do that if it wasn't for the 30 lives code in Contra.
Yeah, no, Contra, now I can't even finish it with 30 lives.
Yeah.
But I used to be able to finish it without dying. But of course, you had to do the training wheels, the 30 lives training wheels first.
Yep. As other than that, I can only say that in surveying my memory, it does bring up a thing that I hadn't thought about in a long time, which is that I wish there was still such a thing as a Game Genie out there.
I know.
PlayStation 4 Game Genie to just unlock a bunch of horrible shit. I'm looking at screenshots of that Star Wars game. God damn, it's fucking terrible.
No, it's so bad. And a lot of it just has very little to do with Star Wars.
Yeah. All right, our next question is coming in from Jamie. Jamie says, Dear Jeff and Jason, I've been playing Fallout 4 recently. Really fun. I designed my character after Vash the Stampede from Trigun and tried to fight non-lethal, which proved to be impossible if I wanted to progress the story forward. This made me think about pacifism in video games. Few games offer this alternative, like Undertale, Dishonored, Deus Ex Human Revolution, and even Assassin's Creed, that allow the player to incapacitate an enemy without putting holes in their most vital areas. My question is, what are your best examples of games that offer non-lethal alternatives to fighting, and if more games should implement this? Not as the only way, but as another option. Sorry for making this so long. Jeff, I know you're a busy man, but thanks for taking the time to read this and keep up the great work. Sincerely, Jamie. Jamie, it wasn't really a long question. You just put a lot of carriage returns in between everything, so it's fine. So, Jason, have you ever played one of these games non-lethally?
What do you think?
I don't think so. I think no is the answer to that question.
Negative. Yeah, it's like with Assassin's Creed. It's like, okay, so I can make it more difficult for myself and sneak around and try not to get seen, or I can make sure everyone sees me and pays the price in blood. It's I always go for the murder option, but I don't know. It's like if there's a game where like murdering is an option and where peace is an option. I mean, it really depends on, I don't know, how you like to play. Like in Hitman, for instance, it's like it is. I don't know that it's easier to sneak around, but if you get seen, it becomes exceptionally difficult in a certain way. You know, it's like it's tough in some of them to sneak around and not be spotted. But it becomes tough in a different way if you are spotted. And so, I don't know. Sure, I guess, the answer is sure. It's if you want to, if it's fitting for the game, yeah. And I don't think every game has to have, murder and what have you. There are more and more games these days that really don't have any sort of combat to them, and that's great. So we can't keep doing the same damn thing over and over. We've got to have new and novel ways to have gameplay and tell stories within those environments. But yeah, it doesn't need to be in more games where the point is like, do you need a non-lethal way in Call of Duty? No. So I guess the answer is it depends.
Yeah, I think it really does. Actually, Dishonored. I have a real bone to pick with Dishonored. I think that we talked about this back in the old days when we played Dishonored. But like, I reloaded my game and went through the entirety of Dishonored non-lethally because at the beginning of Dishonored they were like, if you kill people, that means more rats. More rats means more plague. More plague means everybody's going to get plagued up and plague, and that's a bad thing. And I was like, okay, I play a lot of Metal Gear games non-lethally. That's fine. Let's do this. And the only thing it changes is a cutscene at the end of the game where it's like, and what was the guy's name? Corbin Carville.
Oh, from Dishonored?
Yeah.
I played like 30 minutes of it. I don't know, man.
And at the end of the game, it's like, he chose to go non-lethally, and so there were fewer rats. And it's like, that's it? That's just one line at the end of the game where the devil's like, yeah, you decided to do it that way. And it's like, it was such a pain in the ass to play that
was
way.
all you got?
Yeah, pretty much. Corvo, that was his name. I don't know. I think that
because of the crow thing, right?
yeah, I think it works better when it gives you some kind of reward. Like Assassin's Creed doesn't give a shit whether you pile up 80 guard bodies in the street or whether you just punch a guy in the face, right? Whereas you remember when we were playing Metal Gear Solid 3 and we got to the big river that was full of corpses? And if you play that game, it's just this one segment where you are basically forced to... You were confronted with the body count that you've racked up in the game in this one sequence.
Right. Yeah.
Which I think
was a compelling reason.
Yeah, really affecting and kind of, like you just go, oh shit, like no game puts all the bodies of the virtual people that I've murdered in front of me and goes, look, and you're just like, God. So I don't know. I think it's a nice thing, and I think it's a nice way to give people also a different way to play through the game. But you just have to have a reason to do it. Like I don't know that it really works as just like, well, you can or you can't. Like in Hitman, if you go through and you do it silently, then you get more experience points at the end, right? Or more hit points because you. But if you don't want to do that, well, then fuck it. You can just do whatever. Our next one comes in from Andy, who says, "Hey Jeff, thanks for answering my question last week comparing The Witcher 3 to Fallout 4. Towards the end of your answer, you asked me what could Bethesda do to improve the stability of their games. After giving it some thought, I think I found the answer: a new engine. Instead of reducing the amount of things that you can do in the world, like you suggested, how about Bethesda goes back to square one and makes a new engine? I know it wouldn't be easy, but they have the money. Fallout and Elder Scrolls sell extremely well, and they certainly don't lack the talent. I think a new engine would rejuvenate their franchises and make the time that it would take to develop it worth it. What do you think?" On that same train of thought, what other franchises would benefit from an engine refresh? Keep raging. Actually, he says keep ranging, but I assume he means keep raging. Andy, as far as Fallout 4 goes, Andy, I don't know. I don't know that the bugs in Fallout 4 are specifically the problem here is that I can't lay the bugginess of Fallout 4 at the feet of their game engine. Like if you just made a brand new game engine and then you made the exact same game with the same number of moving parts in that game engine, I think you could very well end up with the same number of faults that you have in Fallout 4, that it's more about the complexity of the world than it is the actual game engine. But I don't know because I don't work at Bethesda. I didn't make Fallout 4. I think that you probably could most game companies that make games on the same engine for years and years could probably stand to do an engine refresh from time to time. I personally am a big fan of companies that use stuff like Unreal and then modify it to their own devices than people like Square who spend 2 years making a new engine so they can spend 4 years making the game they're going to run on that goddamn engine.
Right. Yeah. I kind of wish there was. I can't really think of a game that needs a new engine overhaul. That nothing's coming to mind right now because a lot of times the graphics. I mean, at the point we're at in games right now, it's like all of the graphics are amazing. Like everything is great, or everything that I've encountered, right? So I can't really think of anything where, like you said, where I can pin any problems a game has on the engine aside from like graphic shortfalls, and I can't even really think of those right now because I'm just like, yeah, this is great. This looks awesome. Now it's everything that I've been playing anyway has all been varying degrees of beautiful. So I do wish that there was some engine standardization. And again, I don't know a lot about graphics engines or anything like that. But I wish that companies like Square wouldn't feel compelled to develop their own engine and just license engine and cut down on the costs. Because if you cut down on the costs, we're going to start seeing more risks taken in game development and more uniqueness. We're not going to see the same damn thing over and over. So I think anything that can cut costs is good. And if licensing an engine rather than building a new one is going to do that, then do that. Yeah,
I think specifically that that I think that new Assassin's Creed engine is kind of shitty personally, and I think they should. I think that they need to go back and work a little bit more on. I don't know. Just can't say enough bad things about Assassin's Creed, apparently. But yeah, I feel like that kind of sucks. I do feel. I mean, I made a lot of hay about the frame rate in Fallout 4, but it would be nice if I don't know that. I don't know that there's. I think I might be with you that I don't know that there's a lot of specific franchises that I can point to. I think that what we're really looking at is that by the end of the previous generation, like Unreal 3 was just like down. Like they had that shit down. And I think that we just need to get to a point, that we're still, I think that's one of the things that a lot of times people don't take into consideration is the fact that we're still only 2 years into this console generation, which seems like a lot, but probably, we should probably, by another 2 years from now, I'm expecting things to look even more gorgeous than they do right now. So I don't know that I have a very specific answer to that. I don't know. Sorry. Yeah, pretty much it. All right. Next up, Kennedy asks, "Hey, Kennedy, you mean the
MTV VJ?
MTV VJ turned like conservative radio talk show personality?"
That's right.
I hope so. Kennedy was the shit back in the old days, but I doubt it. Anyway, Kennedy says, "Hey, Jeff and Jason, what were some of your favorite arcade cabinet games that you dumped tons of credits into as a kid in a local arcade? I personally was always fond of the Jurassic Park light gun shooter. Bought it at the time, but it was a blast when I was a kid. Been following Through the Fire and Flames since Loading Bar. I'm glad you guys are still doing this." Kennedy.
Working backwards, Kennedy. I don't really put money into arcade games anymore unless I go to Pinballs, which is the local vintage arcade and pinball thing, and then I'll play like Robotron and or depending on what they have and what's in working order. Allison and I went a couple of months ago and played a bunch of stuff. But most recently, the one that I sank the most money into because it was expensive is the Star Wars pod thing, which is neat. But it's really like most games that are most new arcade games. It's just kind of a gimmick, It's like, okay, that was cool. It's like what you see at a Dave and Buster's or that kind of thing. It's it's just a big. It's more an experience than a game. They've got all these trappings on it to make you spend lots of money. And yeah, I'd rather like play an actual game. But back when I was a kid, oh man. I spent a lot of time in arcades. That was Valhalla to me.
Sure.
Or any time I went anywhere, convenience store, I would go check, okay, cartoon or comic books, and what arcade games do they have? Because in convenience stores, there was always an arcade game, at least one, right?
Yep.
The ones that I spent the most money on, the Star Wars arcade, the original one, which I still think is a hell of a lot of fun.
The vector graphics one.
Yeah, the vector graphics one.
Okay.
The Gyrus.
Oh
Played a lot of Gyrus.
I don't really remember that one very much. Was that like one of the ones that had a weird controller on it, where it was like where
you went around in a circle, kind of Tempest style, but it wasn't a dial. The controller, you just had to kind of rotate it clockwise or counterclockwise around the outside of the screen as the spaceships all flew out of the center. And you played in phases, slowly making your way into the center of the galaxy, or the center of the solar system. And Rygar.
Oh, the Rygar arcade game.
Yeah. Played a lot of the Rygar arcade game. Played a lot of the NES game as well, but I played a lot of the arcade game. In fact, I went probably about a year ago and bought the Capcom collection that included that and bought a new or a used original Xbox so I could play it.
You bought an original Xbox to play Rygar?
Yeah.
Mame, dog, mame. Like, you've got a PC.
I know. But, yeah, I had this. And I just thought, yeah, that'll be cool. Just sit down and play it on a controller. And, yeah,
okay.
It's hard.
I don't think I ever played the arcade. I know I beat the NES game, but I don't think I ever played it on the arcade. Whatever happened to that PS2 one where they, like, brought it back, right?
Oh, yeah. I never did play that.
Neither did I.
Yeah, I forgot all about that. I heard it was okay, I think.
Yeah, it seemed weird. Like it seemed too. It seemed like it was too much. It was like
it was a God of War knockoff.
This looks too much like something, and I prefer my Rygar to just be red blobs and a guy with a big yo-yo.
I actually finished Rygar on the NES.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, me too.
Which it was that was like one of those inscrutable 8-bit games where you're like, I don't know what's happening here, but I know that if I push this button, I've somehow figured out, like a damn rat in a Skinner box, that if I push this button, this thing over here happens sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like playing E.T. on the Atari. Not that Rygar in the NES was bad, but it was just like, I think, or here's a better example that everyone might understand: playing PT, like finishing the end of PT.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, if I stand here and I raise my left foot up, and I sing "Hello" by Adele, then this door will open. I think that's what causes it.
I'm not going to stand here and try to tell you that my ability to beat Rygar was predicated entirely on the issue of Nintendo Power that told you exactly how to beat Rygar.
What?
Because that was what they used to do back in the old days, was be like, here's Mylon's Secret Castle, a game no human being could ever discover how to beat on their own.
I gave up on that one, and this is from young Jason, who did not fucking give up on video games.
Yeah.
I gave up on that one because it was just, there's no way to figure that out.
Fucking Mylon's Secret Castle.
Well, it was like some of the puzzles in Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest.
Yeah. Yep.
No,
it was some diabolical shit, man. Is they put out Fester's Quest, and is there any way to beat Fester's Quest without buying Nintendo Power? Probably, if you want to play a shitload of Fester's Quest, and who the hell wants to do that? Nobody.
You know what?
What's that?
I played a shitload of Fester's Quest.
Did you beat it without the Nintendo Power? Did you not have a Nintendo Power subscription when you were a kid?
I did at some points, but I think I only had it for like the first year or so, something like that. So I didn't have the cheat, so I had to like write down how to get through the maze and all that shit. That infuriating maze.
It's funny. Of all the shit that I threw away when I was a kid, I think I had like 3 or 4 years worth of Nintendo Power. Like every year, would be one of my Christmas presents would be getting a re-up on a Nintendo Power. And I had that first episode with Super Mario Brothers 2 claymation on the front, and the Castlevania
I read
one.
Those obsessively.
Yep.
Obsessively. Just like every word in there. I digested them. They were just the best.
Fucking Howard Nestor, and I actually, when I was a kid, my wall was covered as every month Nintendo Power would put out. They had a fold out, like a vertical poster. That was what was on all my walls, and I had all that. And then on one wall, I had this giant Marvel poster that was like, God, what the fuck was it? It had like Death's Head 2 and like a bunch of, it had like original Blade on it. It was like a bunch of dark Marvel stuff. And it was huge. It was like the thickness of it when it was folded up was almost like the size of a comic book. And then you would unfold it into this 10 foot by 8 foot monstrosity that was just covering one wall of my bedroom when I was a kid. Anyway, as far as video games, arcade games that I've sunk a lot of money into, I actually know that there was a time when Street Fighter 2 was down at the convenience store by my house, like you were talking about, and I used to go down there and shove quarter after quarter into it on a Saturday afternoon, because what the fuck else do you have to do? You're a kid. And then after that, one of the other convenience stores had a Mortal Kombat, so then I would sit down there and shove money into Mortal Kombat. The places always smelled really shitty, convenience stores. I don't know. Maybe I can't smell them anymore because I'm a smoker, but I remember them just smelling real bad.
I thought they always smelled like fried food, and so I was kind of in heaven.
Yeah. And then the Star Wars arcade game, the one that has all three of the movies in it. I'm sorry.
Oh, the one that came out like 10 years ago, 12 years ago, something like that. Yeah.
I used to be able to beat that on one quarter. I'm not sure why, but I was in a place. This is like right before cell phones became a thing.
Yeah.
And I think that I was like living somewhere where there wasn't I didn't have like a console at the time because back at like post SNES days, like my PlayStation 1, I like went in with a friend for it, and I think when I moved out of state, I didn't take it with me, so I didn't have anything. And I don't know, but yeah, I could say that those are definitely the three that I've probably pumped the most quarters into. Remember fucking tokens? You remember that horse shit, Jason?
Dude, I actually found. Because I went to the Coinstar thing, which is where you take your change into a machine and you dump it in there and it counts your change and gives you a receipt. Take it to the cashier and then they give you cash for getting your change counted and blah blah blah. I was running that through the machine and I'm like, oh, this isn't this little coin here is not they're not accepting it. What is it? It was a fucking Chuck E. Cheese token. I swear to God,
dicks. Yeah.
And I can't even. It's been 20 years since I've been in a Chuck E. Cheese.
Fucking, you know what? It's just like, hey, everybody, you know how we're all bent out of shape about DLC and graphics engines and, oh my God, there's too many Assassin's Creed games. They used to make you turn your money into other money, specifically because when mom was dragging you out of the arcade screaming, you had like 6 tokens that like printed on one side of them said, no cash value.
Yeah. It was like, you already, once you got in there, once you change your money in, you've spent it, right?
Yep.
And so, did you ever have that thing where your parents would say, all right, well, just give it to this kid here?
Oh, yeah.
You know?
What the fuck, Mom? That is more, that's like 4 more plays of Final Fight. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
And the fact that, like, they wouldn't work a lot of times it seems like they wouldn't work between arcades. Like, I don't even know how they fucking did that.
Yeah.
Bullshit. Anyway, our next one comes in from Tristan, who says, hello again, Rage Lords. I have yet another question for the podcast. Do you think that YouTube Let's Plays, reactions, and commentaries are encouraging people to talk amongst themselves while in the movies, movie theaters, local plays, or music events? Keeping it short to let others have a chance to get their question answered. Tristan, P.S. Have a fun and stress-free holiday.
You first.
I think that the internet is making people talk all the time about everything, but that's just me.
I don't know what it is, how people... I think it's cell phones, actually.
Yeah.
And the connectivity. It drives me crazy. It's like, just shut up. Just shut the fuck up. If you think... that's why I don't go to the movies anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, do you not?
I just don't. No.
Yeah, I remember you used to. You used to be all at like Fantastic Fest and Alamo and that kind of stuff, like local.
I'll do Fantastic Fest because that's good because everybody's well behaved in there and they don't talk. But I mean, dude, I didn't even see Ant-Man. I don't even know the last time I actually like went to the movies because it drives me crazy. People talking and won't shut their fucking mouths.
I think I find it more. The place that it really gets to me, and unfortunately this has nothing to do with the internet or Let's Play, so no, I guess would be the answer to that one question, but is when you're at a music show and there are people that are within like the first, like it's general audience, just people standing around, and there are people that are like less than, shall we say, 30 feet from the stage who are having some screaming conversation. And it's like, are you having a conversation while this band is playing close enough to the stage that you actually have to yell at each other loud enough for me to fucking hear your shit?
I told you that story about Allison and I nearly getting into that fight with those two hotards, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you had a lot of problems when going to the movies about having people talking in the movie theater?
Oh yeah, every time.
Yeah, I don't.
Every single time.
See, I've structured my life to the point where I don't get close enough to the movie theaters anymore. Like if I go to see a movie, it's 2 weeks after it's out on like Tuesday at 10:30 when everybody normal is asleep and in bed.
Oh well, see, we tried that one time. Oh God, I got to tell this story.
Oh God,
yeah, I think you've heard this story. This is something. It was Cabin in the Woods, and we went to see it at like 9:30 in the morning on a Monday or something like that.
Okay.
And after the movie started, this group of people comes in, and there were very few people in the theater, but this group of people comes in and they sit down in like the bottom left-hand corner, and they're making so much noise. And just kept shushing them, and one of the women in the group kept looking back at us and was like, and like glaring, And they were like across the theater. We were like midway. They're in the front left. And they were still making a ton of noise. And finally I went up and I found a manager and told him, like, hey, these people, they're making a lot of noise. It's driving me crazy. And so I came back inside. The manager came in and talked to them. And the woman that was shooting us the looks, like barked at the manager or something and said something. And he just walked away. And the noises didn't stop.
Mm.
And Allison jumped on him. She was like, shh, shut up. And that's like right around that time I realized, I was like, oh God, it's a special needs group.
Mm-hmm.
Where they were all like severely mentally handicapped.
Yep.
And here's the best part. I was like, Allison, they're special needs. They're special. And Allison, I don't fucking care. Shut up.
Yeah.
she's yelling at them. And I'm like, oh, this is what's the right thing there,
Yeah,
it's like, you don't want to yell at somebody, like Grant.
I mean, like you don't want to be insensitive. On the other hand, you don't want. I mean, it's genuinely distracting and bothersome when somebody's talking throughout when you're trying to watch a movie, right?
Yeah, it's like I paid for this. Now you're fucking up my shit.
Right. So you're kind of in the worst possible situation of like, what are you gonna do? Yell at people who don't even understand why you're upset, or sit there and just be upset and have your. I mean, because like, I'm sure there's some knee-jerk internet reaction where I could just be like, well, Jason, you should just like get over it, right? Just get over it, and watch the movie, and quit complaining. But you're not. I mean, that's not gonna happen. So
yeah, it's like people who take their kids to restaurants and let their kids run around shrieking, or in the movies. Like Hi was telling me, he was telling this one lady, it's like, hey, you're gonna have to take your kid outside, and she just looks at him all offended, like, he's 7.
Yeah, you're like,
and my response would have been along the lines of, okay, well, he's old enough to learn the lesson that he's about to experience when I kick him in the fucking head.
Or I mean, like. Not to get too off track here, but the difference between a special needs person and a child is that you can basically make a child, you can make a 7-year-old. 7 is old enough to make them understand. If you talk or run around, this is over. And your job as a parent, as far as I'm concerned, is to make sure that your demon spawn is not ruining it for literally everybody else that is there.
Agreed.
Your 7-year-old is not more important than everybody else in the entire fucking movie theater. I think there was one time, I think I saw Spider-Man 3 or something, and I was there in the middle of the afternoon, and there was some lady with 2 kids behind me, and the kids were just running up and down the aisle because there wasn't anybody there, and they would just be like at full volume, like, why is Spider-Man acting like that? And I'm just like, oh, shit, fucking
yeah, it's
God.
like, lady, if you don't do something, your kids are going to end up on a fucking milk carton, I swear to God.
Just stop. Just please, just take them home, man. Just rent it on DVD. It'll be out on DVD in like 8 months. You can watch Spider-Man 3 then. It's not worth you fucking all the rest of us's time up just so that your kids can see it. I remember seeing Star Wars Episode 3, right, sitting right in front of a bunch of people who were just very, very loud the entire time, and I was like, all right. I mean, it's good that this is...
That's why I stay home for everything. I just stay home.
This is what the internet has done, is it's made it easier and easier to just be like, well, fuck it, man. I'm not going to leave the house. All right, we got one more long question, then we'll probably be done here. This one is long, but it kind of comes into a short question. It says, greetings, Danger Ragers. Less of a question, more of a discussion topic today. Something that... occurred to me recently about spoilers. I generally don't have much of an issue with spoilers when it comes to movies, shows, books, and comics, though I don't like hearing them. There is at least a matter that if the story is compelling enough, I can still enjoy it on some level. However, I recently started playing an indie game that my friends and an artist I follow on Tumblr have been talking about called Undertale. Unfortunately, a lot of it has been spoiled, both in big twist, inside jokes, ways to beat bosses, the outcome of your choices, and a particular game mechanic. Most of which I couldn't avoid because when driving my friends to a party, they started to go in depth on the game while I drove without being vague or asking if anyone had played the game. I didn't think much of it at the time because again I figured if the story is good it would be okay. So when I started playing Undertale, I found that it was hard to enjoy because now I know the outcome of a certain action you take and try to avoid some of the other outcomes in the game. Now I wish I could have gone into this game completely cold and discovered everything for myself. I think my issue is that since games are more interactive than a passive story, I feel as though I don't get to make my own choices or my own discoveries now. Plus, since there are many ways to approach a story in a game, particularly an indie game, I don't think that people realize certain etiquette for dealing with spoilers in games. Sorry for the lengthy email, but I'd love to hear what y'all think about this. Joseph Compton.
I knew that was Joseph because I knew he was playing Undertale. I think, in any storytelling media, you have to be respectful of spoilers. Some people just don't get it.
They just don't give a shit. Don't give a shit.
Yeah. So, some people have legitimately said, yeah, worrying about spoilers is stupid.
Yeah.
One of my friends who runs a major movie site has, and it's not one of us or anything like that. It's not anyone you guys would expect. Runs a major movie site, gives zero fucks about spoilers.
Yeah.
And it has made me hide him on all social media because I think that's just shitty.
Well, so here I am going to reiterate a thing that was once said to me by my father about spoilers that I feel is the most important thing. Here's the thing. You can't...
I'm not really your father.
I'm not... Luke, I am not really your father. The chicken to crying game. No. You can't take a spoiler back. It's so easy to do. It's so easy to tell somebody a thing. And the problem with a spoiler is that you can't unspoil a thing. So while a person may or may not be interested in, it's like... whether I care about the end of the season of The Walking Dead or I don't care about the season of The Walking Dead, the problem is that you just casually dropping knowledge about this. If I am interested in it, then you've just by saying that thing, you can't undo that. You cannot take it back. You can't make me unknow the thing that you just told me. I hate to even give this guy any publicity, but on both the YouTube page and on the Twitch stream that we did of Fallout 4, some guy came into the comments, I don't know if it's the same person, both there and in the Twitch stream, and was just boom, and was this is who the end boss of the game is. And it was a huge spoiler. And it was just and I just on the Twitch stream, I lost it. I was I hope you get cancer. It was just really shitty because fuck you, man. You're doing that to fuck other people over. It's one of the most irritating transgressions that I can see on the internet is where people are just because all that it takes is just to shut your fucking mouth for just a little bit instead of being can you believe what happened on Game of Thrones 10 minutes ago?
Yeah,
no.
and try to be conscientious. I think we were trying to be very respectful of people who haven't watched all of Jessica Jones.
Yeah, yeah.
And hopefully, I hope we didn't screw anything up, and I apologize if we did. But yeah, I try to be really respectful of that. And some people just don't care, or they troll you with it because they think it's funny.
Yep.
It's no, you kind of ruin that. I mean, some people aren't affected by spoilers. They'll still enjoy the hell out of it, no matter what. If you've told them every twist,
right?
Some people search for that, but to just most people, I think there's a reason it's called being spoiled. Because spoil is bad,
right?
Right. The word is negative. It connotates rot and going sour, and so you don't want that.
Well,
don't be a dick. Just think about what you're saying and typing.
Especially with Joseph, that Undertale game is this big thing. It's this indie darling. Everybody's talking about. I need to go back and play it because I played a little bit of it and I was like, I don't fucking understand what you people are talking about. This seems kind of stupid to me. But I maybe didn't get far enough into it to start to really get hooked into the meat of it. So maybe I need to go back and play more of it because Joe and I played it for 40 minutes for Patreon. And I was just okay. But I think it's a real jerk move, especially with something like that, to start going into these specific plot twist, nitty-gritty details without at least saying to the person who's in the car with you, hey, man, did you play Undertale? Do you mind if we talk about it? And he could be like, I do mind. Maybe when we get to where we're going, you guys can go over there and talk about it for 5 minutes,
Well, yeah. And Joseph, you should have said, hey, guys,
stop.
Shut up.
Yeah, stop. Hey,
stop.
Hey, fuck off. I haven't played that game
yet. If you were driving and they didn't stop, You kicked them out of the car.
Like you run that car into a tree. That's all right.
Yes. Yes.
And you're like, look what you did. You owe me a car, bitch. That's the only way I can get you to stop talking. Spoilers are if you are a person who isn't affected by spoilers, and there are plenty of people on the website whenever this comes up who will say that. Like, I don't care if spoilers. That's great if you don't. That's fine and wonderful and dandy, and I'm super happy for you. I, on the other hand, do care about spoilers. So please, just fucking shut the fuck up for 10 minutes. Shut the fuck up for a month or two, and let us all get caught up on Game of Thrones instead of going immediately to Facebook. And you know who I have a bigger problem with, Jason? You know who I hate more than people who are spoiling shit on Facebook? These motherfucking news websites that put the spoiler in the headline so that when your friend puts it on Facebook and it comes up and you're like, do I want to read this? I didn't want to know that about the new Star Wars movie.
Agreed.
Yeah, fuck those people because they should know goddamn better. I know you got your fucking clickbait headlines, but no, just fucking no. Just stop it, or I'm gonna talk on my podcast about how much I hate you, most sites on the internet.
No, I agree. I agree completely. And I know exactly what you're talking about.
And another thing, BuzzFeed. Anyway, we got one more question. We're going to wrap it up here. This one comes in from our friend Ty, who says, hello, Jeff and Jason. Now that Marvel has completely proven themselves on Netflix, avoiding the sophomore slump with the fantastic first season of Jessica Jones, what other superheroes, not already confirmed by Marvel, would you like to see get a gritty, dark reboot in TV format? Thanks for all you do every week. Hope you have a fantastic Thanksgiving from your loyal fan, Ty. I'm going to already say, Jason, before you start, we already know you want an Iron Fist thing. We know that. What else?
I want to see, and this has already been talked about, I want to see Moon Knight. I think that would be kick-ass.
Okay.
They've already teased that, but I'd really like to see Damon Hellstrom, the son of Satan.
Mm-hmm. Who's he?
He's Damon Hellstrom, the son of Satan.
Okay, all right. So it was all there in the title.
Who's he? I just told you who he was. Yeah.
Okay.
No, he's the son of Satan. He was one of the Defenders, and then they toyed with it. They're like, well, he's not really the son of Satan. He's the son of this guy. No, he's really the son of Satan. They went back and forth, retconning, blah, blah, blah. He was a 70s horror guy. But the interesting thing is that he was married to Trish Walker, to Patsy Walker for a while.
Oh, see, so is she an actual person?
That's Hellcat.
Oh, okay. Because in the comics, it was Ms. Marvel, right? Who was?
It was correct. Yeah, in the comics, Jessica Jones's confidant was Ms. Marvel. In this, it's Trish Walker. But yeah, in the comics, Trish Walker is. She was one of the Avengers, a long-standing. Well, actually, she's been around since the 40s, since like pre-Marvel. Mm-hmm. But yeah, she was Hellcat, and she was married for a while in a very horrible relationship to Damon Hellstrom, who just a sorcerer, evil dude. Well, not evil, chaotic neutral, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Kind of a Constantine character, but without all the charm.
Okay. Actually, I was looking through some lists of Marvel characters. I was actually thinking, didn't they have a run with fucking Hawkeye where he was just a regular dude?
Oh yeah, by Matt Fraction wrote that, who also wrote my favorite run on Iron Fist that I was talking about earlier, and it just wrapped up a couple of months ago, and it is fantastic. Well, it is so damned good.
Seems like the sort of thing that, like, when you look at the way they've made these Netflix series, that would probably work very well as a Netflix series, right? Just kind of like.
They've already established something that contradicts it in the movies.
Oh, okay.
Because in the comic, he's just kind of this schlubby piece of shit, and he's not a happily married family man like he is in the movies,
Okay. I was also thinking, because there a run, I mean, kind of by the same category when you think of like kind of gritty, hard-boiled, wasn't there I guess it would probably overlap too much with Jessica Jones, but wasn't there a run on X-Force where Madrox, the Multiple Man, ran like a detective agency?
That was X-Factor.
X-Factor, yeah.
Yeah, I think that was Peter David that wrote that, yeah. Yeah, it was X Factor, run by Madrox, a detective agency dealing with like mutant stuff, you know. And I think they've had rumors of bringing that to the small screen for a while, but I don't think there's been any movement on it lately. I think they've scrapped it for Legion. I think they're working on the Legion TV show now, which isn't really Marvel proper. That's Fox, of course, but I think that would be really interesting.
I mean, you know, Madrox would be the sort of character that you could really do a good. His powers would make it easy to work on TV, right? Because
yeah.
You just copy. I mean, if you could make fucking Orphan Black, right? You could make a Madrox multiple man show.
Yeah.
Trying to think of anybody else. Fucking Doctor Doom, man. I just want I want some real Doctor Doom. They've had two lame ass Doctor Dooms. Why can't you just have a guy in a big metal suit who runs his own country?
Give me Game of Thrones Latveria.
Yeah, Game of Latveria.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of good stuff about that Squirrel Girl comic. Do you read any of that?
No, I have not. I know several of my friends, including Amanda, just love it. But in fact, I think Amanda was Squirrel Girl for Halloween, but I have not read any of it at all.
Okay. Also, you know, who else might fit into that same kind of gritty universe that they're doing with the kind of down on the street would be maybe the Spider-Woman.
Yeah.
Kind of from the
Bendis. Well, originally, Jessica Jones was supposed to be Spider-Woman.
Yes, I think you told me that. Did you tell me that this weekend?
I think I did. And Marvel was like, "No, you can't do that to Spider-Woman."
Oh, that's a good one. You know, I tell you what. Oh, that's two more. Well, first off, I think that it's a goddamn crying shame that they're putting all this money into all these different places. It's probably a rights issue, right? But like, if you can make a violent as hell Daredevil Netflix show, where the fuck? How is the Punisher like so far off the map? Right?
Oh no, he's.
Are they making a thing for him already? Did I forget about a story that we talked about?
It's okay. Spoiler. Punisher's going to be in Daredevil season 2.
Oh, okay. Because he's friends with Matt Murdock. They grew up in the same.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, but they were childhood friends. They're obviously the Punisher and Daredevil are not friends, but. Frank Castle and
Frank Castle
Matt Murdock, when they were children, right?
Yeah, that seems like that was a storyline, right? I don't remember exactly, but something like that.
Also, I just got here's an interesting one: is they haven't really done like a villain thing yet, so. I think it'd be really cool to have a Bullseye TV show.
Ooh, like that could be neat.
Especially in that dark format that they've got established. I think that would be really interesting. Anyway, and that is our show for the week. So thanks, everybody, for watching. Jason, why don't you throw the people your website?
jasonsmurphy.com. Sign up for the mailing list. I've got a new short story coming out soon within the next couple of weeks called Blood In. I would love for you guys to check it out and let me know what you think.
Sign up for the mailing list. You know you want to hear what Jason Murphy has to say at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Tuesday.
Yes.
Yep. So that's the show. If you have questions, send them in to mail@rageselect.com. If we didn't get to the question that you sent in this week, go ahead and send it again. We'll probably get to it next week. And with that, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the latest issue of Dick Cobra is out. So I got to go check out Dick Cobra.